This is Seth David from the world famous Nerd Enterprises Incorporated, bringing to you another special screencast. We're in the series called Nerds Empire Avenue. This time we're talking about using Evernote to keep track. Knowledge is power. Make an impact by learning more. Call me right now at 866-945-8070 for information about private trainings. We record the live session with you so you can review it as often as you like afterwards. So we're talking about using Evernote to keep track of Empire Avenue people, shareholders, people who own shares in me. Of course, Empire Avenue gives you lots of great tools for keeping track. I can come right here to my portfolio and lists, and I can look at my portfolio, I can look at my shareholders, and so on and so forth. But I've already got 244 shareholders, 156 people that I own shares in, so that can be a lot to keep track of just browsing through these lists. And of course I can search within the portfolio if I think of a name, but what I've started to do is there are certain people within this community that I've interacted with more. And if you've read some of the stuff I've posted about what how I'm using Empire Avenue, one of the things for me is I'm looking at the shout-outs. I'm looking to see who's actually engaging with me. The people who take the time to leave a shout-out are the ones that I will go through first and make sure that I buy back, because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the engagement. I'm looking for people who will actually interact with me on this and other sites. And what I'm finding is by doing that, the people I'm getting to know we're now following each other on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the other sites. So this is what I'm looking for, and that's how I'm sort of prioritizing. And so what I'm doing is I'm starting to use Evernote to help me keep track of specific people. For example, and right now I'm showing my portfolio, and it's the default is that it sorts it by value. So Chris Perillo is at the top; he's got the greatest value, and Chris Voss comes in number 3. So what I'm doing is I'm using Evernote to help me keep track of this stuff. So here's my Evernote. I've got a notebook in Evernote called Empire Avenue, and what I do is I create a little profile in each person that I want to sort of follow a little more closely. Like here's Warren Whitlock. And so I've got links, of course, all over the place here. One is to his Empire Avenue profile. Then I've got him on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, his YouTube channel. And it's very easy to create this. And I sort of purposely did not do one for Chris Voss yet, because I'm going to do his right here, right now on this video. So I'm going to open up a new note, and you'll see it creates an untitled note. And then what I want to do is I want to bring my web page up here, and let's go to Chris Voss's profile. And of course initially it brings it up right over here. I click view profile, I can get his full profile on the page. And then it's really easy. The first thing I want to do is come up here where the URL is for his profile and click and drag it right onto the Evernote note. And boom, you'll see in a second it'll put in there. Once I click in the note's title, then it grabs the information from that link. Then I want to come in here and hit enter a couple of times. And as you might have seen in the previous video, we've got all the social networks that he's linked to right over here. So I'm just going to use this. And if I click on his Facebook, then I can come and I can drag his Facebook in here. And the Facebook doesn't come in specifying what it is, so I just type it out. This is one of the reasons I like Evernote specifically for this, is because it's a notepad. I can write up all the notes I want on this. So now let's go back to his next. He's got his Twitter. And now I'm going to click and drag his Twitter down in here. And it's important to remember to hit enter a couple of times, to anticipate dragging the next thing in. But I love this because, as you can see, it takes 2 seconds to sort of build this. I'm not going to do his Instagram because I haven't played around with Instagram yet. Here's his LinkedIn. And come over to LinkedIn, click and drag that one in. Come back over here. And this is his Facebook page for the Chris Voss Show. So come over here. I didn't remember for sure if I had hit enter. I did. Click and drag that in. And it's putting the 2 in there because I've got 2 notifications up. So I'm going to delete that and put Facebook page. Let's go to the next thing. After his Facebook page, his YouTube channel. Now I love YouTube. So I definitely, if somebody's on YouTube, I'm going to definitely make sure to grab that link. So I've got his YouTube channel there. I just paused the video. And what's next? I've got Foursquare. I don't really care about Foursquare. That's just a personal thing. It looks like he's got the G Plus beta on there. And then you can do the blogs. And here's what I do on the blogs. What I'll do is, great thing about Evernote is over here I can put in a separator, right? So that puts a line in there, and now I can put blogs. And he's got a ton of them. So I'm not going to do all of them. But first I'll endorse his blogs. I know Chris. I follow him on a few sites. So I know I'm safe endorsing his blogs. So while I'm here, I'll endorse them. That kind of lets him know I've been here. And then let's just go to the Chris Voss Show blog that he's got. And again, I can click and drag this right down. The Chris Voss Show. And then I can bold that just to make it stand out, kind of formatting the note a little bit. And this way I can build a little portfolio on a person. Now, how does this help me? Well, for one thing, Evernote is great with searching for information. So now that he's in here, and right now I've got it sorted by created, so he's going to come up at the top, but I might sort it by title, and now I don't know where he is, but look what I can do. Chris Voss, as soon as I type Chris, he's right up there. And so now I can take notes. You know, I can even make notes to myself about, you know, when I might want to buy more shares in him, you know, once I can max out further than 200. Now, don't get me wrong, I know that on Empire Avenue there are some lists I can do. Let's go to Portfolio and Lists. And they have some kind of standard lists you can add people to, but I just like the flexibility that Evernote gives. I like the fact that I can go into Evernote and I can write notes. I can, you know, even keep track of conversations I've had with Chris, or, you know, anyone for that matter. I'm using Chris as an example because he's the one I just created it for. So this is how I'm using Evernote to help me just kind of keep track of certain people, the sort of, what do you call it, the community within the community, the people that I'm sort of more in touch with, the people that I'm interested in. If I notice that somebody has some interests that are interesting to me, then I can create a note and mark that. And the great thing about Evernote is that, you know, I can mark notes for follow-up. So let's say I know I want to do some kind of follow-up. I already have a tag that I've created in Evernote called follow-up, so that later on I can access within this notebook just the tags follow-up, and then it'll come up with just those notes in my Empire Avenue notebook that I've marked for follow-up, and then I can go through and see, okay, what did I want to do on this? And, you know, this is the sort of thing that I'll talk about this in subsequent videos on my Empire Avenue series, as I talk about this in general with social media, which is that I like to be very organized about this, so I reserve the time in my calendar. So I'll reserve time and say, this is when I'm going to spend time on Empire Avenue. And during that time, I would come to my Evernote notebook for Empire Avenue, and I would sort of run the search here for, you know, things that I've marked for follow-up in Empire Avenue. And I might prioritize that as the first thing I'll do. So this is, you know, and I'm sure you can come up with many more creative ideas for ways that you can use Evernote to keep track. I just love Evernote as a program in general for keeping track of things, and this is the first kind of idea that I've thought of in terms of how I'm using it specifically for Empire Avenue. Something else I'll add in that Chris mentioned in his group on Facebook, which, let's go to that right now. If I go to Facebook and I type Empire Avenue, there's his group, Empire Avenue Winners. He had posted a suggestion in here, and it's a great one, that when you're buying shares in people and you want to leave shout-outs, you can put just picked up 200. And you can copy and paste that into the buy, and it will show you, it will keep the number, and it will forget the rest. So I'm already maxed out on him, so I can't use him as an example here. But you can do that, and then I made the suggestion that to take that a step further, you can copy and paste that phrase into an Evernote note so that you can just reuse that every day. This way you don't have to sit there typing it over and over again. So that's here, and if you're not already a member, be sure and join Chris Voss's Empire Avenue Winners group on Facebook. I'm going to talk about this more in some of the other videos that I've got coming up. As always, if you have any questions, email me, seth@nerdenterprises.com. Visit me on the web at www.nerdenterprises.com. Find me on Empire Avenue. My ticker is eNerd. Or just search for Seth David, or search for Nerd. I'm sure you'll find me. And I look forward to connecting with you, seeing you on the web, and I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. This has been a special presentation brought to you by Nerd Enterprises Incorporated on Nerd's Empire Avenue, using Evernote to keep track. Knowledge is power. Make an impact by learning more. Call me right now at 866-945-8070 for information about private trainings. We record the live session so you can review it as often as you like afterwards.